Hey, how is it going, everybody? This is RBT coming at you with a video requested by a bunch of you guys in the past couple weeks, and that is a National Signing Day recap, preview video, whatever you want to call it. And I know that a big part of my channel is covering Alabama and the football team and so on and so forth, recruiting. And I know that's the case, but as of late, in the last couple of years or so, my channel has really expanded, and there's people that want to hear a little bit more than Alabama sports. So I'm gonna recap, really probably the biggest recruits in the country and some commitments that were made today. And then at the end of the video, I'll go over Alabama's class and the commitments they got today, which I'll probably mention earlier on in the video. But there's too many prospects to really cover them all, so I'm just gonna cover really the 5-star athletes. And sadly, this was the first year since 8th grade, which was 07, 08, that I've not stayed home for National Signing Day. That's sad. That's sad. It's a happy holiday for me every year, but you know, college is a different animal, and you don't want to be behind in college. So I had to stick to checking my phone for updates and everything. So I got the updates, didn't get to watch it, but I still have enough knowledge to make a video. So why don't we go ahead and get this thing started? Like I said, I'm going to go through some of the top prospects in the country, talk a little bit about them. So I don't know everything about every top prospect, but I'll do my best, and I'm sure there's not a lot of people that know a lot about the incoming recruit, so I'll try to give you a little in-depth analysis. But what I'm going to do is I'm using Rivals.com's top 100 to go through their top 5. I mean, their 5-star prospects, and yeah, I use that site, and I'm just gonna use theirs as just as a guide to go through this video. Obviously, #1 prospect in the country, Deshaun Hand, the defensive end, was stole out of Virginia. A lot of people thought he was going to go to Michigan, but he's committed to the University of Alabama a long time ago. He suffered this commitment signed today. Great, he's gonna be a great player on the D-line for Alabama, and I'm so glad we got him. He's an absolute beast. The first time in, Rivals history, Rivals.com history, that Alabama has landed the #1 recruit in the country. So, as great classes Alabama's had in the past couple seasons, that's the first time they got the #1 prospect. I think the closest was Julio, and I think he ended up being the 3rd or 4th best prospect in 08, which is really the first year I covered recruiting religiously. And Alabama's had the top class according to Rivals and most of the websites the past 4 years, and for this to be the first year they grabbed the #1 guy is pretty interesting. And so yeah, that's that. #2 is Myles Garrett, the defensive end, going to Texas A&M. He signed today, and this guy has shot up the charts lately. He's an absolute beast. Will be an absolute playmaker on the line for Texas A&M, trying to find another edge rusher like Von Miller, and this might be the guy. The guy's an absolute beast. He'll be a force for Texas A&M the next 3 years, and he'll be gone to the NFL. But like I said, he's just absolutely skyrocketed. Some websites have him higher than Deshaun Hand. Shows you how good he is. But he's going to A&M. Good get their Aggies. Jabrill Peppers, defensive back, going to Michigan. He signed today. He's been committed for a long time. He chose between who was it? I know it was Michigan and Alabama, and Deshaun Hand and Jabrill Peppers wanted to play with each other. They're really good friends, and the other couldn't recruit the other to their school of preference enough to get them to go. I mean, obviously Deshaun Hand wanted Jabrill Peppers to come with him to Alabama, and he even tried down the stretch, but didn't get him to budge at all. And Jabrill Peppers tried doing the same with Deshaun Hand, but they ended up going their separate ways. So, great defensive back. I wish Alabama could have got him. He's going to be an absolute stud. He had one of the coolest commitments you'll see. You have to watch that on YouTube or something, but he's a beast. He recruited a long time ago, I believe before the season, but he's really good. Leonard Fournette, or is it Leonard? Leonard Fournette, the running back, going to LSU. This was the recruit that I wanted. This guy's an absolute beast. The best running back prospect, I believe, coming out of high school since Adrian Peterson. He's going to be a force at LSU. He'll start from day one. I really wanted him at Alabama, but he stayed in Louisiana. He's going to be an absolute stud. He's probably be the next top 15 running back picked in the draft, because you know running backs, their value's decreasing throughout the draft and stuff like that. And I believe he's talented enough to be a top 15 pick. The guy's an absolute stud. He's gonna be scary. I mean, Jeremy Hill's gone, so this guy's gonna step in and play year one. And he's gonna be good at it. Quin Blanding, defensive back, going to Virginia, which I think is pretty crucial for the Cavaliers. I mean, they got 2 in-state guys that are both 5 stars, according to a bunch of websites. It's him and Angel Brown. But Angel Brown actually fell all the way to number 32, which is still a 5-star. They have 33 5-star prospects, so he's the second lowest rated 5-star prospect. But Angel Brown's a defensive tackle that's coming to Virginia. He's out of Chesapeake. He was actually top 10, I think maybe up like 7th in the country. And after the events, I believe, I can't remember if he played in the Under Armour or Army game, but he was bad. He was really bad, and that's why his stock fell all the way from top 10 in the country to 32. But he still, I think, will be solid. I don't know what happened there, but obviously he did something right in high school to be ranked that high. He'll be okay. And for Virginia to get 2 in-state defensive players that are 5-star recruits, they're going to be solid, and that's something good for a program like Virginia that's been so not good the last decade or so. So that's the right step in the right direction. They did bad last year, but Mike London got to bring in a couple top prospects in the state, so good job there. That's the number 5, Quin Blanding, defensive back, and Angel Brown, defensive tackle. And here we get the first guy that committed today is Adoree Jackson, the athlete out of California. His original intentions, he was going to go to USC, and then he didn't. Reports came out he didn't like Lane Kiffin, so he wasn't going to go to USC. He was weighing his options. Looked like he might go to Tennessee, and there's a bunch of other schools involved. I'm not sure what schools were involved. I know Tennessee was one. Let's see, who was it? I believe it was Florida. Oh yeah, Florida, LSU, and Tennessee. And that might have been it. Florida State, I think, was also in there. But he ended up going with his original prediction, which was USC. And he's a California kid. He seems like the USC type, so I think he'll be a solid fit and a playmaker there. Next, we have the number 1 recruit at the quarterback position in football, Kyle Allen, 5-star, committed to Texas A&M, solid guy. He might start year 1 depending on how the guys do there. I mean, A&M obviously do without Manziel. I need a guy to step in, and Kyle Allen might be the guy year 1. He's talented, but we'll have to see how he does transitioning into the college game. Good get there, though, at a huge position of need for A&M. Next, we have Joe Mixon, running back out of California, actually committed to go to play at Oklahoma side today. And I think he's one of the most underrated and untalked about backs in the country. He's very solid. He's big, 6'2", 210 pounds. He'll add some more muscle to his frame. So a solid running back, I think, will start from day 1 at Oklahoma. Very solid, and I believe very underrated. I know a lot of people don't talk about him, but he steadily rose up the recruiting ranks, and he's very solid, and he'll be one of the best running backs in the country for the next few years. So, solid get there. And next, we have another commit, Marlon Humphrey, the cornerback that committed to Alabama out of Hoover High School in the state of Alabama. It really looked like he was considering Florida State down the stretch, and a lot of people thought he was going to go there, despite his father being a elite player at Alabama, Bobby Humphrey. And he didn't. I mean, it seemed like all signs pointed at Alabama, but he just seemed like that type that wanted to get out of state and screw up tradition. But he stayed. Big get there. He was originally supposed to commit today, and he didn't. He just randomly committed last week. I believe, yeah, a week ago from today on last Wednesday, which was really shocking. I mean, he was supposed to commit on ESPNU like 10 o'clock. Everybody was ready for it, and all of a sudden he just committed to Alabama, which is, I mean, obviously good because we need a cornerback was, I think, the biggest need in this draft class for us, and we got him, which is solid, and I'm glad we got him. So a solid cornerback. He needs to add a little weight. I mean, he's a little undersized, about 6 foot, 170 pounds, 175 pounds, but he'll be okay. He just needs to add a little weight, and he's a solid cover corner, and we definitely needed him. Next is Jalen Tabor, I don't know how to say his last name, but what I do know is that he went to Florida, and this guy was a really, really unusual recruiting process guy, whatever. Defensive back out of Washington, D.C., a solid cornerback, one of the best in the country, according to Rivals. I guess he's the 3rd best, but I mean, all these are arguable. Top 5 are always arguable at certain positions. But he's solid, but it seemed like he committed at one of the All-Star games, and it was between Arizona and Alabama. Seems like a guy would want to go to Alabama over Arizona, especially at a position of need. I mean, Alabama obviously needed cornerbacks after the struggles last season and graduating guys. And it seemed like all signs pointed to him to go to Alabama. I mean, why? I mean, a lot of people, just common sense, Arizona over Alabama. I mean, not taking anything against Arizona, but just with the recent success of Alabama and giving you a shot to play right away at one of the best programs in the country, seemed like it was a no-brainer. He committed to Arizona, which was a head-scratcher for a lot of people. And then just a little bit later, he committed to Florida. And he enrolled early, I believe. I think he enrolled like the week after he committed to Florida. So, unusual commitment from Arizona to Florida after everybody thought he was going to Alabama. And he's at Florida now. I guess he's already in classes. So, solid defensive back, though. I mean, he has the size, very good. He'll be a good corner there for Florida. Might start year one because, I mean, they lost 2 corners to the draft. So, he'll be a solid player, definitely. And here we go, Travis Rudolph. Another guy that seemed like was going to go to Alabama. He committed to Florida State. He's 6 foot, 189 pounds, one of the best wide receivers in the country. I believe is he the number 1 receiver? Yes, he's actually the number 1 receiver in the country according to this. Which, I mean, obviously, Florida State is in need of some receivers because of the decimated, I mean, Kelvin Benjamin's gone. I'm not sure about Rashad. One of Rashad Green and Kenny Shaw is gone. Maybe both. I'm not sure. But he's very solid. But the thing is, it was down to Florida State and Alabama. I forget when he committed. But he said the week leading up to his commitment, he was a strong Alabama lead. And at that point, he was probably going to Alabama. But he wanted to wait till his announcement time. So everybody was like, oh, this guy's going to Alabama. And then out of nowhere, he committed to Florida State. So that was kind of disappointing because I thought it would have been nice to have a big, strong, top talented wide receiver in this class. And then just a couple weeks ago, something happened and he reached back out to Alabama coaches and looked like he had some interest in Alabama again and looked like he had kind of rethought his Florida State commitment. And then he just decided out of nowhere again, oh, he met with the coaches and he reassured his commitment and all that was that. And he signed today and it made it interesting down the stretch, but he's a Florida State Seminole, and he'll probably start day one. Very talented with the receivers that need to be replaced. They'll be fine. And Florida State got a lot of good receivers today. I'm not sure how many 5-stars according to this, but he's got some solid guys. And here we go, none other than Rock Thomas, running back out of Oxford, Alabama. His name's actually Rashawn Thomas, but remember the name Rock Thomas. He's committed to Auburn, and I guess signed to Auburn now. All these guys are signed. I don't know why I'm talking about all saying they're committed because they're signed at this point, obviously. Yeah, guy's an absolute beast. He's a perfect fit for Auburn's offense, and this is a guy that Alabama actually really, really wanted. I believe possibly if they did not go after Leonard Fournette, whatever the frick his first name is, they would have had a better shot at Rock Thomas, even though he probably might have still went to Auburn. But it's just the fact I believe it was a lot clearer for him to go to Auburn after Alabama put so much emphasis on Leonard Fournette, whatever the frick. So he seemed kind of like he was a second option. And with the possibility of getting Fournette and Bo Scarborough, however you say it, I don't know these guys' names. I don't hear them on TV. I just read them and have to pronounce their name how that is. I don't know how to pronounce a lot of their names. But they're with the possibility of having 3 5-stars in one class, obviously that would kind of turn somebody off about a school. So he went to another school in Auburn. He'll fit in perfect, play great there. Alabama tried to get him down the stretch after they learned that Fournette was going to LSU. Didn't work out, didn't budge, and he's an Auburn commit all the way. And he's going to be solid for the next 3, maybe 4 years. So good guy there. Then the running back, Michelle, running back, going to Georgia. Another solid running back. Another running back to add to the tandem once Todd Gurley and Keith Marshall leave, which might be after this season. Keith Marshall might come back, but Todd Gurley, I believe, is gone. But it's another solid running back to plug in and a long line of talented Georgia running backs. And is it Michael or Michelle? It looks like Michelle, but it's only I think Michelle. Could be wrong. But another solid running back who's been committed for a while. According to this, he'll be the third ranked running back. No, 4th. A lot of good running backs in this class. But he's solid running back. Will step in and play. He might get some playing time next year, not a lot because I mean one of the best 2 running backs in the country, Keith Marshall, Todd Gurley, but he'll still get some good playing time. He'll definitely get some good playing time after this year. All right, now the big guy for Alabama in this class is Rashaan Evans, the linebacker out of Auburn, Alabama, and he committed today. A month ago, the guy was an absolute Auburn lock, and then Alabama just came in and just sealed the deal. A day ago, all the Bama insiders were thinking Auburn all the way. He's going to Auburn. But today came, a lot of people felt the same way, and he shocked the world, committed to Alabama. This is the 2nd straight year. It might be, I just know for sure that the 2nd straight year. One of the top linebackers in the country. I believe the top inside linebackers in the country. From Auburn, Alabama. Auburn High School committed to Alabama. Last year was Reuben Foster. This year is Rashaan Evans. And both shocked a lot of people. I mean, frick. Reuben Foster had an Auburn tattoo on his arm, and he ended up going to Alabama. But a solid linebacker. Big, physical, 6'3". Can add a little weight, about 220, which, I mean, that's not skinny by any means, but might want to add a little bit of weight. I mean, to play inside linebacker at Alabama, he'll be solid. He's fast. He's big. He can rush off the edge. Auburn wanted him to play the star position, which is kind of like a hybrid. How can you say this? From what I understand, it's kind of like a hybrid linebacker, safety, blitz type package player. And he wanted to play specifically edge rusher / inside linebacker or he wanted to play more of an edge rusher, from what I understand. He's outside linebacker. I'm mistaken. Sorry. Yeah, he wanted to play more of an outside linebacker, edge rusher type role, and Auburn kind of not necessarily guaranteeing that. So I think that was a big reason in this decision, and he's coming to Alabama. Big get today, and solidified the first class with 6 or more 5-star recruits. So that's pretty solid. Another commitment that happened today was Malachi Dupree, wide receiver out of Louisiana, committed obviously LSU. Big time receiver, 6'4", 170 pounds. Obviously, needs to add a little weight to him. The guy is very, very solid. Looked really good in all-star games. I've watched this film. He's really good. Down the stretch, it was between LSU and Florida State. Alabama had an outside chance, but it was, I think, all the way LSU and Florida State. I mean, Louisiana guy, so many good prospects out of Louisiana this year, and they got a couple of them. A couple of them they let get out of the city, such as Cameron Robinson and a couple more. But I'll get to him in just a second. But he's a big wide receiver, and if you add a Malachi Dupree to Florida State's wide receiver class, which is absolutely loaded, that'd be great. But he's good. He'll be solid at LSU. Probably play right away. That's a big reason why he went there, because Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr. are both gone. He'll probably play right away, and he's very solid. Just look at that name, Malachi Dupree. Doesn't that sound like an LSU player? I mean, I forget when I first saw his name, but when I first saw his name and saw he's from Louisiana, it just clicked. Like, frick, that guy's going to LSU. So, Malachi Dupree, solid wide receiver, probably play right away at LSU, 5-star. And next we have Bo Scarborough. They consider, I don't know why they have him listed as an athlete, but he's a running back out of Tuscaloosa County. He actually transferred to a school in Florida, IMG Academy, and he was trying to get his grades up, which the coaches weren't really too happy about what he did. But it is a question whether he qualifies or not. Hopefully he will, because he's very solid and will play right away next year. Not starting, but with the running back depth we have. But I believe we could play 5 running backs next year and split the time, and we'll be fine. But he's another big running back, 6'2", 234. Not as big as Derrick Henry, but getting up there. It seems like we're continuing a trend of signing big running backs, kind of like we wanted Leonard Fournette, but he's at LSU. But I'm perfectly happy with Bo Scarborough. People are kind of worried if we got Fournette that Scarborough would leave and go elsewhere. But this guy's been committed forever to Alabama. He's been, let me tell you the exact date. I'm not mistaken, it was last year before Christmas he committed. Yep, it was not this 2 years ago. September 7th, 2012. So he's been committed for almost about a year and a half. Getting in on 2 years. A solid running back. People didn't want him to leave, and if he qualifies, he'll play next year. And he's kind of tough to say underrated, but people don't talk about him as much as a lot of people are saying. Oh, I want Fournette. I want Rock Thomas. But this guy will be just as solid as the other ones and could potentially be better. So he's good. Glad we're getting him. Another guy is Cameron Robinson out of West Monroe, Louisiana. The West Monroe prospects seem to be absolute locks LSU, but not him. He absolutely fell in love with Nick Saban. Seems like he's Nick Saban's best friend from the pictures he put on Twitter and everything. Seems like they're best friends, but he loves some Nick Saban. And this guy's probably our starting left tackle next season. He dropped a little bit after the All-Star games. Don't know why, but he'll probably start. Cyrus Kwanjo's gone, and we'll need somebody to step in at left tackle. The guy's big, 6'6", 320, probably a little bit bigger with the strength and conditioning program. Very solid tackle, and he'll probably start right away. Glad we got him. And he was a big recruiter in this class, too. He helped, he was putting the Alabama name out a lot. He really was trying to get Fournette to this class and didn't really work out, but glad we got him. And Robinson's an absolute beast. I believe before the season, he was actually like 3rd ranked prospect in the country. And he's actually enrolled now. He was an early enrollee, which is big as well. If I was a coach, not necessarily like in Alabama, but a coach, I don't know why I'm saying this, but like a coach, let's say at a mid-major, well, not a mid-major, let's say a school that's in a BCS conference that's competing against schools that get so much better recruits than them. Let's say, let's pick a school out of the, I don't know, Big 12. Let's go with Kansas. I don't know. I've always had this fascination with Kansas ever since Todd Reesing was there and they almost went to the national championship. But anyways, I don't know why. But if I'm somewhere like that, struggling because I can't recruit well because my program's struggling with wins and losses, obviously. But what I would do is get as many prospects as I can to enroll early. I'm talking about 10 to 12, maybe 15, like maybe more than half your class, because that is big. That's like half a season of learning experience. I mean, you got to think about that. That's like a month of practice and pretty much a game in the books compared to coming in just for the summer, not being able to practice until a month before the game. That's huge. I would get that, and I would get a ton of JUCOs, because JUCOs can come in right away and play. And if you get a JUCO to come in and roll early, that'd even be better. But my recipe for a school like that until you can start recruiting better is get, even if you have to get the 2-3 stars, I mean, do whatever you have to do. Get early enrollees. That's huge. Absolutely huge. You don't know the competitive advantage somebody has as coming in early compared to June, maybe even July if you have to complete another class. So, don't know what. Oh yeah, because Cameron Robinson enrolled early, but still solid tackle there, and that would be my approach. All right, next we have Dalvin Cook, running back out of Florida State. Devontae Freeman's gone. I believe James Wilder Jr. declared for the draft. I could be mistaken, but I believe he did. But Dalvin Cook, obviously, they sold early playing time to him. I mean, they have a lot to replace in the offense for Florida State. They lost a good amount on defense, too, but I think they'll still be solid. Jameis Winston's there, a good run a quarterback. But I have to find some weapons to see if these young guys can step up, because they might have a lot of freshmen starting, a lot of wide receivers that are good. I'm not sure what they bring back on the offensive line, but I do know they have Jameis Winston. If these 5 stars can live up to their hype a little bit, they'll be okay. But Dalvin Cook, another guy, really solid running back out of Miami. It kind of came down to Miami and Florida. Obviously, a guy from Miami will consider Miami, but Florida State ultimately won, so early playing time, they'll probably come and step right away and get some good playing time, if not start. So, solid running back, Dalvin Cook to Florida State. And here's another guy, Raekwon McMillan, who was a disappointment for the Southeastern Conference schools. Linebacker out of Georgia, 5-star that kind of surged out of nowhere up to the top 25-star ranking. He stayed about there from then until signing day. But solid linebacker. It came down to what we thought was going to be Alabama, Auburn. There might be another school in Ohio State. And Ohio State went out. Urban Meyer stole one from us. And it's kind of sad because the guy was really solid. Could have came in right away as a freshman and played a good bit. But Ohio State got a good one. Big guy, 6'3", 235. And it was only add weight from then on. Solid linebacker, and he'll be good. He'll be really good, and probably start right away with Ryan Shazier leaving Ohio State. So that is that. Number 20 is Damian Prince, outside linebacker. Wow, offensive lineman, 5-star, going to Maryland. Is he I'm not sure. I believe he's a tackle. Size-wise, he looks like a tackle. Just going to make sure. Yes, he is a tackle. Second-ranked tackle in the country. 6'5", a little bit, no, I wouldn't say underweight, but might want to get over that 300 mark. He's at 290 right now. Tackles don't necessarily have to be over 300. They need to be a little bit more athletic. But he's going to Maryland. Honestly, don't know too much about Damian Prince, but what I do know is a 5-star athlete. Maryland got an in-state guy, which is huge for that program. They're going into the Big Ten, so they need to get these bigger recruits to be able to compete on a better basis. Because they weren't doing so well in the ACC the past couple seasons ever since Randy Edsall went there. So they're going to have to start getting some better players in and compete with the other Big Ten schools like Ohio State, the Michigan State. So, I mean, that looks solid guy. I mean, 6'5", 292. I mean, obviously he's a 5-star athlete. I mean, 5-star prospect at number 20 in the country. He's good. And obviously that's a really big pickup for Maryland, so congrats to them and props for getting a 5-star to stay in state when they could have gone anywhere else in the country. So that's what you got to do. You got to keep your talent in state, and if you can do that, you'll be okay. All right, next we have another wide receiver, Speedy Noyle, wide receiver out of New Orleans. He's a 5-star, going to Texas A&M, and a lot of people think he's the best wide receiver in the country. Like I said, I don't like to pick one. I just like to say they're arguable because it's hard to really just say this guy's the best one unless they're just so far ahead of the other ones because we don't know how to predict how good they're going to be. But I could see the argument. The guy's very talented. He's, I mean, obviously going to be a slot receiver. He's very, very fast. He's very, very fast, very speedy, as his name says. He's only 160 pounds, but that just guarantees the fact that he's going to play in the slot unless he somehow gains 30 pounds over the offseason. But very fast, quick, good hands. He'll probably step in right away and play at Texas A&M. They're going to need some offensive weapons to step up. I mean, Texas A&M's going to need a lot next season because Manziel's gone, Mike Evans gone, Jake Matthews is gone. So they got two pieces of the puzzles coming back, and Speedy Noyle, Kyle Allen, 5-stars. They're going to be there at least the next 3 years. So we'll just have to see how they can do year one to guarantee how successful A&M will be. I'm not real sure what A&M has coming back aside from those guys leaving. I'm sure they have some pieces that I'm not thinking of. I know they lost what's his name? I can never remember his name. Running back. Frick, I'm trying to blank. Molina, Ben Molina. Is that it? Yeah, Ben Molina went to the draft, but they have some other running backs coming back as well. So that's not as big as a lot of some people make it out to be. But this guy will step in right away. A big get out of Louisiana. Frick, if LSU kept their talent in state, that would be crazy. But this is a good get for A&M. Next we have the old Chad Thomas, defensive end out of Miami, Florida, coming from the prestigious Booker T. Washington High School. Big guy, defensive end, 6'5", 229, and he committed in South Miami today. Thing is, he came this close to going to Alabama, and this would have been huge. Big, great defensive end. I mean, think about the defensive ends. We have D Ford, Frick, D-Liner, a bunch of guys that play well on the D-line. Deshaun Hand coming in, and some guys I probably can't remember because we have so many talented guys on the line. Just to have this guy, D-Liner playing the nose, because he'll probably end up playing the nose, maybe, which he's primarily a DM, but I think he's going to outgrow the position and play very solid nose tackle, and maybe used outside a little bit, but be a more of an athletic nose tackle than we've had in the past, because he can really rush the passer, and he just needs to add a little weight to him. But if we could have a guy like Deshaun Hand, Chad Thomas, and D-Liner in the middle, that would have been a solid defensive line. Might have to, so if you use that scheme, might have to run a 4-3 a little bit more because, like I said, D-Liner, not sure what his weight is at now. But this is all hypotheticals because freaking Chad Thomas went to Miami. He was about to go to Alabama. Frick, this guy apparently is huge in music. His music major was huge to him. He went to Alabama over the weekend. He said the best visit ever. He's been committed to Miami for a long time, so he had a lot to think over. He seemed really kind of nervous at his press conference. If I'm not mistaken, he arrived 30 minutes late. So obviously he had some stuff on his mind. He ended up with Miami. A lot of people thought he would go to Alabama ultimately, but he didn't. And big pickup for the Canes because he's a good DN, probably play right away, very solid. And he's a big guy, and he'll be good there. Next, we have Trey Williams, linebacker out of Mobile, Alabama, St. Paul's High School, going to Auburn. Good linebacker, very solid. Comes from a prestigious school in the city. Seems like that school is a feeder to Alabama, but he ended up going with Auburn. Alabama coaches tried to contact him the past couple of weeks, and he ended up not. He didn't budge at all. He's not interested at all, and obviously he's been an Auburn fan and wants to go to Auburn. He's going to go to Auburn. Very talented linebacker. Which linebackers that Auburn have in the? They have another top 5 linebacker. Am I mistaken? For some reason I felt like they had a top linebacker. But anyways, he'll be solid. He'll be good. 6'2", 220, big guy. Maybe just a little small height-wise, but that doesn't mean anything. But he's going to be solid, smart guy, and he could get some playing time early on at Auburn. Alright, next we have some guy that I don't know too much about. John Smith, defensive back, going to USC out of California. Obviously, USC's giving those California kids in state. 5-star, 6'1", 207, so that's good size for a defensive back. Big pickup for USC. I mean, USC can use anything they can get right now. I mean, obviously, I think they're going to trend towards better results as a football team with Steve Sarkisian at head coach. But what did USC get? Was wow, he was actually the only 5-star that USC got this year. Oh, no, sorry, they got Adoree Jackson. Why does it say Adoree Jackson's not yet signed yet? That's interesting. But USC looks like they had a solid class for what they were left with. I mean, they got absolutely screwed over in the season. They got a new head coach in. They ended up with 20 committed prospects or signed guys if Adoree Jackson ends up going. But they do have, USC has Jalen Green. I don't know why he sticks out to me because I was looking at Boise State's class a couple months ago, and he was the quarterback committed there. And obviously the changes went through there, and he got a USC offer, and he flipped over to USC, obviously. From Boise, if you get an offer from Boise State or USC, where are you going to go? But I don't know too much about him except he was committed to Boise State. But John Smith, 5-star USC, the only 5-star of their class, which kind of shocks me. All right, we have about 8 more. God, guys, I gotta use the restroom. Let's try to hurry up with this a little bit more. Tony Brown, defensive back going to Alabama. Big guy, not big guy, a cornerback, a big need. He's not too big. He's 6 foot. So they just popped in my head. Speaking of big guy, Marlon Humphrey and Tony Brown aren't too big. They're both 6 foot. So it'll be a little bit more comfortable if they're a little bit bigger, because as we see the trend towards not necessarily just the NFL but college football as a whole, really. You see a lot more of the successful players, whether it be either level, being a little bit more lengthy than the other ones, 6'2", 6'3", and both the guys have is 6 foot, not 185 pounds. But anyways, he's still very, very solid. Was really good in the All-Star games. We got him out of Texas. A lot of people thought he might end up going to Texas. I forget where the other place he was in. I think it was LSU he was considering. Could be wrong. But he ultimately picked Alabama. Big pickup there. Obviously losing. Which one? Frick. Who was it they lost? Jalen Tabor, sorry. But this guy, I believe, is the 3rd cornerback in the country, 3rd ranked, according to Rivals, which I think on the other ones he might be 1st. So, he's 4th, actually, on Rivals. Oh, yeah, I forgot. I wasn't considering Jabrill Peppers. But pretty cool, though. Alabama had a really good shot at all 4 of those cornerbacks, because a lot of them, but all 4 of them were considering down to the wire. So that was big. Well, not really, because we didn't get all 4. We got 2 of them, but that's all we need. You need 2 corners right away, and they might both get a lot of playing time early on. I'm not sure if they'll start right away, but very solid. And that was the biggest position I need, I believe, was defensive backs, and safety was a huge need too. And I'll get to that when I cover Alabama's class right after this. But I'll make it all in one video. It's gonna be a really long video, but people wanted to see this, and it's 9:30, God. I got another video to make after this. A top 5 breakdown. I haven't done those in the next couple of days. I need to stay consistent. I want to get those done. Those take a long time to make. But I have tomorrow off, so I'll be alright. I can't do it over the weekend because I have to broadcast 3 softball games over the weekend. Our softball team's actually ranked in the country 20th in the country, I believe, which is pretty cool. I'm actually kind of excited to go cover the softball game. I gotta write 2 articles too. gotta write an article covering our South Alabama signing day for the paper, and I gotta cover the weekend series, the 4-game tournament. But that's not due till Saturday night. But I'll probably write the signing day article tomorrow. But okay, whatever. Malik McDowell, 26th ranked prospect in the country, defensive end out of Michigan, committed to Michigan State. A big guy, really reminds me of William Golston. Just another guy going into Michigan State to play solid, big, physical defense on that defensive line. I mean, that's a prototypical guy for Michigan State. 6'6", 292 defensive end, absolute beastly size. And if Michigan State can, I mean, they're used to they tend to get the occasional 4-star, mostly 3 stars, mostly 3 stars, maybe a couple 2s, but mainly 3s and maybe a couple 4s, and your occasional, very rare 5. And they can develop those 3s into a team that I think could have really competed with Florida State for a national championship last year if they would have played, that won the Rose Bowl. What will they do with 5 stars? The guy's an absolute beast. 2nd ranked strong side defensive end in the country, according here. The number 1 prospect out of Michigan. So that's big for Michigan State to get to land the number 1 player in state, take him away from Michigan. So big guy there. Congrats, Michigan State. It's a huge guy to plug in their D line. All right, next we finally have the Tennessee Volunteers getting a 5-star. Josh Malone, a wide receiver, staying in state from Gallatin, Tennessee. Big receiver, 6'3", 195. Very talented. He really is. A lot of schools wanted this guy, but he wasn't getting out of state, and that's a pretty big thing. I mean, you haven't seen Tennessee really get those 5-star prospects the past couple of seasons. And Butch Jones is keeping them in state, and I mean, that's what you got to do. You got to keep your in-state talent in state. I mean, this guy was the number 1 player in Tennessee, and I mean, you got to do what you got to do. I mean, Tennessee hasn't had that talent really they needed to compete in the SEC the last couple seasons, and it's starting to grow. I mean, that's what you got to do. You got to start somewhere. Obviously, it didn't work out the last 2 head coaches, and Butch Jones, I have a feeling about him. I have a feeling that something's going to go right with him, even though you kind of had that feeling with the last 2 coaches. I feel a little bit different about this one, but starting off with Josh Malone, committed to Tennessee. And here we go back to Florida State wide receivers. You have Armand Lane, wide receiver out of Homestead, Florida. Pretty big height-wise. He needs to add a little weight to him. 6'2", 172 pounds, committed to Florida State. I believe he was a guy that committed today. Yeah, no. He committed about a week ago, 6 days ago. Yeah. Solid wide receiver. Another wide receiver added to their class that they needed, and it was an absolute loaded wide receiver class. Well, let me go to their class real quick and tell you how many wide receivers they got in this class. 1, 2, 3. I look like an idiot. They got 3, but 2 of them were really good. 5 stars. And then you had, who was the other one? Javon Harrison looked pretty solid too. But I think the reason I kind of over-exaggerate that a little bit was because they were in the running for so many wide receivers. But still, 2 5-star wide receivers and a 4-star, pretty solid for replacing a couple wide receivers you're losing. But I'm sure they have talented wide receivers on the team now. But Armand Lane to Florida State. Okay, a couple more prospects to go over 5, I believe. Guy I don't know too much about here. Quentin Nelson, offensive lineman from New Jersey, 6'5", 301 pounds. Pretty big guy going to Notre Dame. I'm guessing he's a tackle. Yeah, he's a 3rd-ranked tackle in the country. Oh yeah, this guy's been committed for a long time. Notre Dame actually got a couple of people decommit the last couple weeks. You had Jurgen III. I believe he switched to Clemson, which I have this weird I guess obsession thinking about how players, their names fit with that school. Like, I thought Richard Jurgen III really fit with the Notre Dame style team. Like, I know that's kind of strange, but they had the Lewis Nixes, Stephon Tuitt's, what's the other one's name? Was it Captain something? Was it Captain something? Frick. was his name? They had another cool name guy. But anyways, I know I'm just being stupid, but he sounded like a Notre Dame player. Which I for some reason really did like Louis Nix III. But that's nothing to do with Quentin Nelson because that's a pretty normal name, I guess you could say. And a solid tackle in Notre Dame, I think, needs some tackle help. So they got him. And Notre Dame actually didn't have that many, wouldn't say highlighted prospects. It was really just an average class to a Notre Dame standard. I'm sure it was probably top 15, maybe top 10 in the country. But still, they usually get about 2 or 3, maybe even 4 or 5 stars a year, but this year's just 1, and they got a couple 4s as well. Did they get any 6.0 5s here? 4s? No, they didn't. But still some solid guys. And obviously I haven't looked through all of them, but I want to see how Deshaun Kaiser does after Everett Golston leaves. I think he'll end up being a starter more than likely. Deshaun Kaiser's been there for a while. And if Everett Golston didn't come back this season, which he is, he would have probably been the starter. But Everett Golston should be there for another 2 years, so you probably won't see Kaiser until he would be a redshirt sophomore, I believe, at the time. So that is that. Elijah Hood, running back out of North Carolina. Another in-state prospect, staying with their in-state school, going to North Carolina. Big get here for North Carolina because the reason is North Carolina is going to be solid next year. Very underrated team. They really underperformed at the beginning of the year, and they just completely turned it on at the last part of the season. They lost to Duke their last regular season game, but they were so hot at last in the season. Even they had so many players injured. Their starting quarterback was supposed to be all ACC. Was out for most of the year, and another guy stepped in and played phenomenal. And they didn't have that great running back like a Giovanni Bernard. They had some solid guys back there, but Elijah Hood to add in there, probably play right away. Not sure if he'll start, but will probably play a good bit. That's just another piece to that offense, and that's going to be very solid. And once again, a very solid job there by Larry Fedora keeping the in-state prospect, probably the #1 player, I'm guessing, out of North Carolina. To stay in state. I mean, he's from Charlotte, so obviously he has I'm not sure family connections, but he has some type of connection with the school if he's from Charlotte. What the frick's going on? It doesn't let me click on his profile. I'm trying to see if he's the #1 player out of North Carolina. There we go. Yes, he's the #1 player out of the state of North Carolina. Who's #2? He's actually already enrolled. A December grad. #2 player in North Carolina went to NC State. Interesting. Okay. So that is that. I want to try to get this through because I really want to make that top 5 breakdown so I can get it over with. I have 2 top 5s left. I want to get them over with, and I have 3 top 10s left. And then after that, it's probably just schedules because you guys, for some reason, have really been enjoying the schedule videos of this uploading team schedules, which I think is pretty cool because I want to have some discussion of college football throughout the offseason, and uploading schedules and asking people to put their predictions for their record in the comments is actually a pretty good, I guess, way to keep the discussion going, because people probably look at that stuff up for a while, and they'll probably have some arguments in the comments, but just keeping that college football discussion, that's my passion. Baseball and college football is really my passion, and college football might have a little edge. It probably does have a little edge on baseball. Baseball was my first passion, but college football over the past 7-8 years have kind of grown a little bit over baseball, but still, I love baseball. But I don't know what was I getting at. Gosh, I gotta use the restroom. This is getting really tough to do. Frick. I don't want to break this into 2 videos. That makes it really long to upload. You know what? I might need to do that because I really do gotta take a crap. Yeah, guys. So I'm gonna have to split this, unfortunately, into 2 videos. And I'll catch you guys. This means it'll probably be uploaded Thursday. God, I gotta take a crap. I'll talk to you guys in just a little bit. Okay, sorry guys. I could not hold that. I was about to explode. The downside to that is that when I do that, when I have to split the videos and it's really long, I have to edit it in the editing software and render it out instead of just uploading it straight like that. And that means other than taking the time out to do that, makes that longer to upload. But the file when I have to render it out in an editing software is very, very, very big and much larger than it is just straight recording. This will probably be uploaded Thursday morning instead of late tonight. So I'll apologize, but I didn't want to explode. That was the upside to going to do that. I didn't explode on camera. But where was I at? I still had like a couple prospects left to go, and then I had to go over Alabama's recruiting class. I'm going to get back to it. But like I said, I didn't get to stay home today, which is pretty sad. But school is college. You got to take a lot more serious in high school. So let's get back to the Rivals 100. And I believe I was at 31. I believe 31. Okay, yeah, I was at Deshaun Watson, quarterback going to Clemson. And obviously Clemson's going to need a guy to step up after Todd Boyd's gone. And this guy might be the guy. I mean, he's the #1 dual threat quarterback in the country, #2 overall quarterback, kind of similar to Todd Boyd, but he's a little bit taller. Todd Boyd's just a little bit over the 6-foot mark, might be a little bit under. And Deshaun Watson, 6'3", needs to put a little weight on, but I'm not sure who Clemson has has there now. There's a guy that's able to start over Deshaun Watson, but definitely, if he doesn't start this year, you'll probably see him a couple years down the road, and I think he should have a good 2-3 year career at Clemson. So, good commit there for Clemson, and he came out of Gainesville, Georgia. Okay, that tricked me there. I thought I was about to say Gainesville, Florida, so I was going to be like, hey, they got a guy out of Florida's territory, but it was from Georgia. Alright, so 2 more 5-stars to go over. Angel Brown, already talked about him. Defensive tackle committed to Virginia. Dropped way down in the rankings. Was up at like this, I would like to say the 6, 7, 8 mark. And after the All-Star games played so bad, he dropped all the way to 33. And I guess they just wanted, or 32, and they just wanted him to, they wanted to keep Virginia fans happy. So they kept him at a 5-star, about as low as you could go. But I still think he's going to be solid. I don't know what happened there, but it'll be okay. Big commit for Virginia. Should clog the middle there at defensive tackle. Not sure what Virginia runs, but guessing at his size and how he looks like he plays a defensive tackle position, I'm guessing they run a 3-4 because he really wouldn't fit a 4-3 scheme. But he's 6'3", 300 pounds, could clog the middle, and he should be solid there, Virginia. And it looks like there should be, with the recruits they've got, it looks like they're in the midst of signing a solid, or getting a solid defense put together. Trying to copy their arch rival, Virginia Tech, who pretty much has a good defense year in, year out. And last but not least, we have Tennessee getting another skill position 5-star recruit. Needs the last 5-star 33rd ranked player in the country, which Rivals obviously ranks 33 players as 5 stars. But he's committed to the University of Tennessee, and a big guy, Jalen Hurd, 6'3", 230 pounds. But another guy Tennessee got to keep in state, and if I'd like to guess, I believe he's the 2nd ranked player in the state of Tennessee. Yeah, that's really big. And he's also a December grad. I believe the other one was a December grad, too. Wow. Tennessee, okay, let me look at this. Tennessee got the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of the top 10 players and 8 out of the top 11. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of the top 7 in the state. That is huge. I mean, I know Tennessee isn't the most talented state recruiting wise, but I mean they got a few blue chip players every few years, but they got what they needed this year, and that's huge. I didn't realize it was that big. And the guy that didn't go to Tennessee that was in the top 7 was Alex Barr. He went to Notre Dame. But yeah, that's really big for Tennessee. So congrats there, Jalen Hurd, big guy. Big running back, actually 35 pounds bigger than the wide receiver Josh Malone. But 2 big players are going to be skill position players that might probably start or play right away. So good job, Butch Jones. So that was my overview of National Signing Day and the recruits that committed and have been committed and signed today and whatever. So that was that. And let me go over Alabama's recruiting class real quick. I'll probably skip over the guys that I already went over, but this shouldn't be too long. But this is for the Alabama fans on here. Roll Tide to you, as always. and let's get. Did I do this last year? I think I did. I might not have. But I already talked about Tony Brown. Well, I didn't mention this before. I forgot about that. Tony Brown is actually like his first week at Alabama arrested. Nothing serious. Something happened and he kind of acted a little ignorant to a cop, and I believe they arrested him for resisting arrest, I guess. But it wasn't anything too serious. Nothing really happened to him. But I mean, obviously, he needed to use better judgment. It was a bad start to his career. But from what I've heard, he's a very solid character. He's comes from a good family, so I wouldn't really expect anything else discipline related from Tony Brown. So 5-star cornerback really help us out. Next we have Joshua Casher, offensive lineman out of St. Paul's, another Alabama beating high school in Mobile. That's why I was kind of surprised Trey Williams didn't go to Alabama. Seems like like I said, the St. Paul's recruits go to Alabama. But a 4-star, looks like he's gonna play guard, solid. That's that. Next, we have Ronnie Clark, athlete out of Calera, Alabama, 6'3", 220, runs a 4.6. He's very intriguing. He can play a bunch of different positions. They can put him on either side of the ball, really. But he's going to be solid, and he's actually the 3rd-ranked athlete in the country. He went rising up the charts late. So Ronnie Clark, another solid athlete that can play anywhere, big guy. Next, we have David Cornwell, the quarterback of this class, who I think dropped a little bit in the rankings, but if I'm not mistaken, he's like the 3rd or 4th. Why is this? It keeps not letting me click the players' profiles. I think he's the 3rd or 4th ranked pro-style quarterback in the country, and he's been committed for about a year now, or maybe a little bit less, a couple months less than a year. David Cornwell, you're the 3rd ranked quarterback in the country, pro-style. Big guy, big arm, 6'5", 235. Obviously not the most mobile guy. From what I've heard, he was a little disappointing this past season. Kind of underperformed while his ranking went down a little bit. But a lot of people expect him to come in and compete for a starting job right away. And I disagree with that because some people want to say Jacob Coker's only going to be here for June. He's not going to know the offense. The guy's pretty much a junior. He'll have 2 years to play. He's more experienced than Cornwell. He's more experienced than anybody else on the roster. He's a solid quarterback. He has all the potential in the NFL. He has all the potential with the tools. And he's more athletic, I believe, than anybody on the roster except Blake Sims. And if NFL scouts believe he's a potential 1st-round pick, I think he's going to start for us because I don't think A.J. McCarron's a 1st-round pick. And A.J. McCarron can lead us to 2 national championships, and he's not a 1st-round pick, and a 1st-round pick can come on our team. I will take it and be very happy with it. But David Cornwell, I think down the road will compete for a starting job. I think maybe eventually he'll end up getting a starting job. I mean, he's very talented. Maybe the best arm that's came through the school, maybe since Brody Croyle. Even though, I mean, obviously he's bigger than Brody Croyle, thicker. He might be about the same size as Croyle, but talented guy. We'll have to see how he does. Next, we have Johnny Dwight, defensive tackle out of Rochelle, Georgia, 6'3", 298. We missed out on Matt Elam, and we don't want to say we settled for him. We got a bunch of D tackles in this class that are kid. I think we look like we're really going to, after missing out on Elam. Elam was huge. He was like a Terrence Cody type. And that's what we seem like we want for our defense, but I mean, there's only a few of those guys every single season. So it looks like we're going more of a more athletic nose tackle type approach. We really haven't had that prototypical defensive tackle for our system. We saw Jesse Williams play, and we saw a bunch of guys play this year at the position. So we have a bunch of guys, I'll go over them real quick, that committed. We have Johnny Dwight, Josh Frazier, who is a little bit bigger. I mean, Josh Frazier could be that guy, but we'll have to see. He's huge. He's 334, but obviously won't be a 3-down player being that big. So to have the defensive tackles that are athletic is big. So Josh Frazier, there has been Jaron Reed. He's a JUCO transfer or community college transfer So he's going to be big. Those JUCO transfers end up being big. And O.J. Smith, D tackle out of Louisiana, who people thought if we got Matt Elam or what's his name? Chad Thomas, I went to Miami. This guy was going to end up having to go elsewhere, but he stayed, and he's here, so good. I like O.J. Smith. So all those D tackles either will fill the role of trying to add some more weight, be a plug in the middle, or be more athletic defensive tackle, which we play a lot of D tackles because we don't have that one guy that really can play 3 downs at the tackle position unless they're more athletic, which I think D-liner will be a good nose tackle for that type of mold. But that is that. Alright, went over Rashawn Evans, very solid linebacker, stolen from Auburn, and 5-star guy will be very solid playing for us. Next was our, I guess you can say, mystery commit that came out of nowhere. Tight end Ty Florney Smith. He committed yesterday or 2 days ago. Or at the time this video is uploaded, probably 3 days ago. He just came out of nowhere. He's an ex-Georgia tight end. He comes from Georgia Military Academy, 6'3", 245. And from what I've heard, the coaches met with him, really like what they saw. He's very athletic and play the H-back role that we like to use. Can use at fullback. Could even play tight end when Brian Vogler leaves because we'll need 2 tight end sets with O.J. Howard and Ty Florney Smith. But this guy wasn't even ranked when he committed. I guess they went and ranked him and just threw something on him, slapped something on his profile since he's committed to Alabama. He's a 2-star now, 5.42 star according to Rivals. But don't really take too much account into especially JUCO rankings, because a lot of times you don't even see 5-star JUCOs paying out, but you see the 3, 2, 4-star JUCOs paying out more. So I don't put too much. I mean, you gotta put some emphasis into rankings, like 5 stars. I mean, more than likely or not, they're gonna be pretty good. Even though you always have those 3 stars that come out and be the best players. More than likely you'll have a 3-star that's like the best player in the country. I mean, Johnny Manziel, Teddy Bridgewater wasn't that highly rated. Blake Bortles. So you always have some that come up and be great. Matt Ryan, Russell Wilson, but Joe Flacco, I don't even think was on Rivals, but 5 stars more than likely end up being pretty decent. But anyways, I think Florney Smith will be good. He'll end up playing. I'm not sure how many years he has left. I'm assuming 3, 4 years to play 3 or something like that. But he'll be solid wherever he ends up getting put. Maybe he plays multiple roles. I think it will end up being solid at either of those positions, and I think he will end up playing multiple roles. But I think he'll end up playing the H-back position probably. I already talked about Josh Frazier, defensive tackle, probably the biggest D tackle we have. Next we have Sean Dion Hamilton, linebacker, out of Montgomery, Alabama Carver High School. Very solid linebacker, very thick, maybe a little bit shorter. Kind of similar to Reuben Foster, I guess you could say. This guy's been committed for a pretty long time, over a year now, I believe, and he's been solid ever since. He's a top 100 guy in the country, very solid, and I expect a lot of some contribution from him, maybe even right away. He's probably, even though he's a 4-star, I think he's not talked about enough because he's been committed for a while, and I think he's really solid. Next, we talk about just Deshaun Hand, obviously #1 player in the country, very solid, probably play right away. Very good. Next, we have J.C. Hausenauer from Minnesota. Believe he's a guard, looking at his size, 6'3", 295. And this is a guy, I believe. Why is it doing this, man? Let me click their name so I can. Yeah. Oh, he's a center. That's what it was. That's what I was thinking. I believe he's the #1 center in the country. Number 3. Wow, never mind. Number 3 center in the country. He's 214th player overall, but number 3 center in the country. And we do need a new center because not this season, but next season we'll need a new center, if I'm not mistaken. So good get. We have a couple centers on our roster, but I mean a good get. We can take as many centers as we need, as we can take, because I mean obviously we have to fill that role, and it wasn't our best position last year. So getting those centers in pretty solid. And next we have a guy. Somebody asked me who I thought was the most underrated commit in Alabama's class, and I mentioned Keith Holcomb. Who was it between Derek Keith and Keith Holcomb? A very solid linebacker. Very big, 6'4", 210 pounds, coming out of Tuscaloosa. So he knows the place. He was obviously an Alabama commit all the way if he got an offer. Being a local guy. And he's a guy, I don't know why, but he's a guy I feel like will come in and have leadership qualities. He looks like a guy I think he'll play. He'll play. He'll be okay. And I think he'll be pretty good. The Lynx will not do anything for him, but I think he'll end up playing. He's one of the most underrated guys, one of the most lower rated guys in this class, but I think he'll end up being good. Already talked about Marlon Humphrey fills a need at cornerback, 5-star prospect, good. Next we have a JUCO tackle, Adoree Jackson, coming out of College of San Mateo, from San Mateo, California, or Mateo, I don't know how to say it. 6'7", 312. Big guy, 4-star rated prospect tackle, and I'm telling you, we get these JUCO tackles or linemen, and we've been doing so the last couple of seasons. They always end up being huge. They really do, and if we need, this guy might end up playing. It depends on Cameron Robinson if this guy plays right away or not. Adoree Jackson, come on, you stupid thing! Why does it not let me click? Let me click, for God's sake. There we go. Adoree Jackson. No, don't do this to me. Don't. Okay, I can't click. I'm guessing I believe he's a tackle. I mean, 6'7", gosh dang, he's got to be a tackle. So what I'm expecting is he's gonna come in and compete for the starting job. If not, I'll probably take over for. I'm not sure. He's too big to play guard, but I've seen crazier things. So we have some guys leaving at guard. The other Quanjo brother he'll leave. So we needed somebody to fill in there. Shepard will be gone, or Shepard left this past season. Never mind. I don't know. Cameron Robinson might end up having to play right tackle. We'll see. We'll see what'll happen. Okay. Okay, here we go. Lawrence Jones. Hootie Jones is his name. What they'll probably call him in college. Very talented safety out of Louisiana. He had committed to Alabama for a while, ended up decommitting. Everybody thought it was over. He thought he was going to LSU. And then he just held a press conference later that week and recommitted, which was really strange. But I'm not complaining, because the guy is very good. He's at a position of need at safety right now, because he might have to play right away. We'll have a really young secondary, I believe, next season, because, I mean, losing a lot of guys. Corners need fixing. Lost Vinny Sincere, which still makes me scratch my head. Like, frick, that would have been so big. I mean, a leader coming back, that would have been huge. But we have Landon Collins coming back. Will have to be a leader, I believe, on defense, probably. Or maybe some other guy will step up. But that was so unexpected. But Hootie Jones, I believe, feels the biggest need, I believe, of this class, which I believe was just completely the secondary. And yeah, corner was a need, but after the initial need, but after Vinny Sincere and Clinton Dix both left, we needed a corner, and Hootie Jones, that was a big need. I don't believe we got another corner after that, but we might. There's always some guys like a D Hart that could switch the corner, and a couple other guys that I think will end up panning out. But that is that. Derek Keefe, wide receiver out of Cincinnati, big guy, 6'4". 200 pounds, a guy that's really underrated. I like these big physical wide receivers. I mean, obviously he needs to put on a little bit more weight. Sitting at 6'4", only at 199 pounds, just listing him as. But he dropped down in the rankings. He was originally like a 4-star, high 4-star, and he dropped down to a 3-star. Screw that. The guy's really good. Physical guy with potential. Really like him coming out of Cincinnati. Saban likes him. I like him. Alright, let me get through this, guys. Montel McBride. Another lineman, looking at his size, can play inside or outside. Solid guy. Can't have too many linemen. Christian Miller, another really good linebacker that I think is a little bit not. He hasn't been talked about as of late because he committed a long time ago. #1 player out of South Carolina, very, very solid. And it's really shocking too that he went to Alabama. That was big, but. Another linebacker. We stacked the linebacker position this class really big, and he's solid. Big guy, 6'4" to 15, put a little bit more weight, but this is a guy I think come in beyond 3 years because he's so good. Very underrated and not need to be as talked about as he's not talked about as much as he needed to be. Next we have DJ Petway, defensive end out of East Mississippi Community College, and we all know he was original commit last year or the year before, and the year before last, and no, the year before. I don't. Oh well. But he got kicked off the team. He was part of that incident with a bunch of big guys like Eddie Williams. I cannot believe the guy I thought was going to be an absolute beast. He had stupid NFL caliber receiver, and he got kicked off the team for assault. And what a waste. But apparently, Petaway didn't have as much to do with it. The coach was giving him a second chance, and he's coming in. He was solid, and they expect him to be solid. So come in, and you can play anywhere on the D-line, really. Maybe even drop back sometimes, but that's that. And next we have, this is the guy from Iowa that I like, Ross Pierschbacher. I believe he is a tackle, and if he needed to, he could move inside. He could play anywhere on the line, really, if they needed him to. Maybe if they needed a center, he could play. But he seems like a guy very solid, and can't have too many offensive linemen. Jaron Reed, I talk about him, another guy at East Mississippi Community College. You see, I start talking 1,000 miles per hour after. Ooh, LeBron just airballed. Wow. I talked about him with the defensive tackles. Maybe if you can add a little bit more weight, can be that inside clogger. Cameron Robinson, already talked about him when I went over the 5-star solid tackle. Could probably start next year. It probably is going to start next year at either side. Probably, depending on who, if anybody switches over, probably left tackle, maybe right on that. Bo Scarborough, already talked about you. Wow. Bo Scarborough, are you watching? According to me, you are. Probably he's gonna play running back. Yeah, he's gonna play running back. Big guy, and he's gonna probably play right away. And not starting, but he'll get a lot of playing time. Very good, underrated, 5-star. J.K. Scott, kicker out of Denver, Colorado. 6'5", 185 pounds. You can't have too many kickers. That's all I'm gonna say there. Can't have too many gosh dang kickers. What is he ranked? The number 4 kicker in the country. Where's the number 1 kicker in the country going? I just want to know. I'm interested to see. Gary Wunderlich going to Ole Miss. All right. Number 2 going to Boston College. We got all 10 top 10 kickers. But J.K. Scott can't have too many kickers. All right, 2 more guys. This is another wide receiver that is extremely overrated. Underrated. Cameron Sims, another guy kind of similar to Derek Keefe, underrated, and he's huge. He is huge. 6'4", over 200 pounds, 210, I believe, out of Louisiana. The LSU would have snatched him up if they could have, and they didn't. And we got him, and I think this is a guy. This is an NFL caliber guy, definitely. This is a guy that has NFL size out of high school, and I think he could be a contributor right away. Our wide receiver core is set for the next 3-4 years. I mean, some of these guys that I believe are really talented might end up having a red shirt and play another and wait 2-3 years to actually get playing time. Will be starting and playing and contributing as a redshirt senior. And they're some people, I think, if they started the first 3 years, could be 3 and gone because they're so good. Leaving it up for the draft, which hopefully they won't, but solid guy, and I think he very well could end up being the best wide receiver in this class. I mean, we have so many solid wide receivers. Derek Keefe. What the frick? I could have swore there was more wide receivers than 2. I'm losing it. There's only 2 wide receivers in this class, but still. Frick, we still have a lot of wide receivers on the roster right now, and we'll be okay. Like, I'm losing my mind, guys. Ronnie Clark, I don't even know. Frick, let me get through this. I've been talking forever, like an hour and a half probably, for you guys. An hour and 15 minutes. Last guy. O.J. Smith, defensive tackle. I already talked about him. He's out of Louisiana as well, defensive tackle. Maybe a little bit smaller than you'd like, but he's big. But the thing is, he's a guy that wasn't sure if he's gonna have a spot or not today, and he did. And I'm glad for him. I would never want a guy to feel like he has a scholarship to a really good college to play football and have a chance to go on to the NFL if you perform as well as you think you can, and get it taken away and have to do something else because coaches or somebody feels somebody else is better than you. So I would never want that. And I'm glad he didn't have that taken away. Where did this won't allow me to click. Let me click on who else offered O.J. Smith. I just want to see where he could have gone as a secondary choice if it's being stupid. Gosh. Oh, I remember he visited Mississippi State. He missed last week, I believe. So if he would not have gone to Alabama, probably Mississippi State. But guys, I'm going to end it there. So this is my full recap of the biggest prospects committing for National Signing Day. So National Signing Day 2014 recap review video that you guys requested, and also a recap of Alabama signing class. Full-length video. Sorry I had to take care of some business in the middle, and I will probably end up making this video being uploaded a lot later than hoped for. So I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't already, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/SVRTR. And stay tuned, guys, to my channel for more college football coverage throughout the offseason, coming at you with preseason polls, rankings at positions where I haven't done similar. Previously, I've done top 10 countdowns for for all-time players, which I did that just to fill time last year, and I do that for breakdowns for the draft, but I'm gonna do it for upcoming positions for next year's season for college football and NFL to fill time instead of doing all-time things. I did a lot of those last year. I might do those next year, but I might do a couple of those, but I don't know. But expect just a lot of football coverage coming at you with schedules for all the top teams, even though it's easy to make. Just a quick video to put up here so guys can talk some college football, and you guys apparently really enjoy them. Everybody wants me to do their favorite team, so I'll probably end up doing a lot of those. So just watch those and predict your record for those teams after you look at the schedule. But I'll leave it at that. I'll catch you guys later. Roll Tide, go Sox, and go Titans. Let me know what you think about your favorite team's performance on National Signing Day, and let me know what you think your favorite recruit for your team is moving forward out of this class. Catch you guys later. Have a great night. Once again, sorry for the late upload because my internet sucks. Peace.